I have two topics that have been talked about for days. There have been articles, videos here on YouTube, and podcasts that have given great points and great views on both issues. And at this point, I would be repeating what they said. So, how do I talk about it? Why even do a video on it? And then I thought about it and dug deeper and found pretty much the core problem with both issues. And as I talk about them both in this video, I want you guys, the viewer, to imagine yourself as either a wrestler or some kind of employee working for the WWE. Because I can't imagine how anybody really, not trying to knock the company, not trying to knock the wrestling business, but I can't imagine how anybody would want to work there. And let's start off with the Titus O'Neal suspension. Those of you who don't know, Titus O'Neal was recently suspended for 90 days. Now it's 60 days but the reason why he was suspended was because during the Daniel Bryan retirement segment, he grabbed Vince McMahon's arm. Not in a way where he was trying to start a fight, but playfully grabbing his arm. Hey, you're the man. Ha ha ha, you're the man. Overtly and kind of, I won't say childishly, but he kind of took it a little too far. He was very playful. Vince McMahon was pissed off. He shoved him. There's a video of it on Facebook, on YouTube. You can find it. I will say this. Do I think he should have been suspended? No. Honestly, I kind of see it as not being justified in any kind of way. Now, I have never worked for a corporation before. I don't know how things work in office jobs under a corporate umbrella. Maybe there is a code of ethics that say you can't touch anybody, that you can't get in people's personal space. Maybe there's a reason you don't touch the boss. Unless business is involved. In this case, unless it's on storyline, on TV, in a segment. When it's rehearsed, it's okay to touch your boss. But unless that's the case, never touch your boss. I don't know if that's a rule for corporate world workers, and maybe that is a rule in the WWE. And look, maybe this rule was explained thoroughly to Titus. Don't touch Vince unless you're in a segment with him. And if that was explained to him, then yeah, he should have been reprimanded for it. Do I think he deserved a suspension for 90 days? I mean, guys, think about that. People get suspended 30 days for violating the drug policy. So, grabbing Vince McMahon's arm is a worse defense than doing drugs. That is the message you send to your workers when you do stuff like that. And to make matters worse, the WWE has once again come under scrutiny for racism. Allegations of racism have been hitting the WWE over the last few days because a black man was fired for something so harmless. And the reason that's happened is because in that same segment, he hugged Daniel Bryan. So, Daniel Bryan, a white man, can hug you. But Titus O'Neal grabs your arm. Oh, suspension. You cannot do that. You cannot make decisions off the dome of your head like that. In a very PR light, it doesn't really make you look good. I don't understand what was the logic going on there. I don't. Now, do I think they are racist? Do I think the WWE is racist for doing this? No, I think it's just an indication that they don't care about Titus O'Neal and decide to make an example out of him for something very petty and stupid. Not because he was black, but because they're petty. But damn, did it come across as racist. You cannot look at that situation and go, why would you fire the black guy for something so harmless, but not do it to the white guy? You know, it doesn't really work. And then there are people who will nail Vince even more for putting his head, again, this is storyline cases, so it doesn't really bold as strong of an argument, but from a face value perspective, it doesn't make any sense. Vince McMahon's head has been up the ass of Big Show, Rikishi. He's been stunned, he's been punched, he's been cussed at, he's mistreated women, he's been slapped. All this kind of stuff has happened to Vince on TV. So to me, when someone grabs your arm, I would think someone like Vince McMahon would have a different way of handling it than a suspension. I would think someone like Vince would, one, knock his lights out and go, don't you ever do that to me again. Or bring him backstage and yell at him in front of everybody and tell him, well, maybe not in front of everybody, but tell him backstage, you can't do that, Titus. That's not professional. You know? Okay? The point I'm getting at here is the severity didn't match the action. You don't send someone to life in jail for jaywalking. You don't send a guy who speeds in his car, who goes over the speed limit, to jail for life. You give him a ticket. Vice versa, if a guy kills someone, he kills 50 people, he doesn't just get 2 years in jail. The severity has to match the action. And in this case, the severity and the action don't come anywhere close to each other. So, why did they do it? What was the reasoning behind them suspending Titus O'Neal? I'll tell you why. It's simple. They didn't care about him. They don't value Titus O'Neal. So they treat him like a piece of meat. Which is not fair. It's not cool. And guys, please understand me. I am not the biggest Titus O'Neal fan. And the fact that I have to say that is bothersome because for some reason people have to think I'm the biggest fan of Titus O'Neal to defend him. Why do I need to be the biggest fan? Why can't I just respect him as a performer? Because I do. I respect Titus O'Neal as a human being and as a performer. As a human being, he is a great father figure. He went to college. He's well educated. And from a personal perspective, it's a black athlete. You know, I always respect people who are of color being successful in the world. I do. I have huge respect for people like that. And as a performer, he is hilarious. Especially during his segments with Darren Young. You know, and I love the fact that he can get the crowd into a match with the that dog bark is amazing. It's great. I respect what he does for the WWE. So, I feel for him when he gets fired for grabbing Vince McMahon's arm. And here's how I see it. Clearly, if he knew about that, because Titus O'Neal, if you went to college and, you know, college football and all that kind of stuff, discipline is required in that stuff. So I would think someone like that would know better. And I think if he would have known that grabbing Vince McMahon's arm like that would get him in this much trouble, it wouldn't have happened. But something tells me he didn't know. And based off of his reaction on Twitter, and based off of Batista's reaction on Twitter, because Batista straight up told Titus O'Neal to leave the company. He didn't know. The company didn't do a very good job of letting the wrestlers, the performers, know that you can't do that. So getting back to the whole imagine if you're a wrestler in WWE point I was trying to make. What do you do in that environment? What is right and wrong? It feels like the wrestlers are walking on eggshells. They're away from their families. 300 days a year, trying to live a career they love doing. And they're constantly having to deal with people, suspending them for stupid stuff, reprimanding them for stuff they didn't even know was wrong. This is just like Del Rio being fired because a guy backstage was racist to him, made a racist statement, and he stood up for himself, and he got fired. Not suspended, fired. What is wrong? What is right? What are the rules? What are the guidelines? What can they do? What can't they do? This goes all the way back to that podcast Vince McMahon had with Austin, where Austin talked about this. Wrestlers feel like they're walking on eggshells. What can they do? What can't they do? And they're pissing all these guys off to hire us off. And when they do, it hurts their careers. They lose TV time. They lose money. They lose their jobs. And Vince McMahon's response was, well, don't piss them off. Again, what pisses them off? And why does it piss them off? How is what Titus O'Neal did to Vince McMahon, how is that unprofessional? This was during a time he was celebrating Daniel Bryan's retirement. Everybody was just celebrating. And he was being friendly. Overtly okay. But friendly. He didn't deserve a suspension. And it really ties into the core issue of WWE having their favorites. And if you're not making a certain amount of money, whether it's because they want you to make that money or not, if you're not making that money, you're nothing to them. So why would you want to work there? It also ties into Road Dogg's whole spiel about wins and losses don't count. Now, his issue is pretty stupid. And it's pretty silly. And it's kind of sad that a WWE producer thinks like that. And it explains a lot of the issues they have nowadays. First off, Road Dogg, Jesse James, Dogg. You would think someone like him would know better. And he should know better. I would hope what he said on Twitter was political and not how he really felt. Because think about it. How did this guy become popular? By being a very famous, successful tag team with Billy Gunn called the New Age Outlaws, who got over by being the WWF Tag Team Champions of the World 6 times. And he's a former Intercontinental Champion and a former Hardcore Champion. So, for you to be valued that much, for you to be taken that seriously, for fans to actually see you as someone big to really make an impact in the world of wrestling, that means you would have to win championships. And for championships to matter, you would have to, win matches. I can dissect this even more. If wins and losses don't matter, why even have matches? Why even be a wrestling show? Why should we even care about your product? That's been said before. But, again, if I'm working for a promotion where the WWE producer who actually makes the show, maybe not make the shows himself, but help make the shows, if he doesn't value wins and losses, what does that say for my career? Because now we're not just talking about, preserving my job. Now we're talking about how am I going to be treated as a character, as a performer, when a guy that runs the show doesn't value the aspect of wins and losses. Yes, I know what you're getting ready to say. Maybe he was talking about the fact that it was kayfabe, that it's not really a sport. It still doesn't make any sense. Yes, it's kayfabe. Yes, it's written. Yes, it's predetermined. But in this world of wrestling that we're trying to create for it to work, for us to make the championships matter, for us to make these characters have a purpose, for us to get invested, to get a reason to get behind them, to root for them, we had to want to see them do something. In this case, we had to want to see them win. Why even have a wrestling ring and wins and losses don't matter? Why even be a wrestler? It doesn't make any load of sense, either issue. And when someone like a Batista goes out of his way to tell someone like Titus O'Neal to quit his job, to ask for his release, when people like CM Punk leave you, when people like Jim Cornette and Jim Ross and Mick Foley and all these other people outside the business who are legends, who used to work for WWE, even Stone Cold Steve Austin, have been saying that WWE really needs to fix their infrastructure. And for some reason, the company just continues to roll along. Why should we work there? And let's address that one reason that I know some of you are getting ready to tell me. Money. They get paid lots and lots of money. Well, to be fair, they do. But think about this. They're working 300 days a year, putting their bodies on the line, constantly, getting injuries at the wazoo, concussions, breaking their legs, injuring their shoulders. I can't tell you how many injuries the WWE has sustained with their talent over the last year. Too many. Some of them have come back, but they still got hurt. And that stuff piles up. When you're 40, you're going to be feeling that. And we want to say that, well, they get paid lots of money. Well, is it worth it? Is the thousands of dollars you're going to make this year? Again, some of them don't even get paid that much. These guys are not John Cena. These guys are not Roman Reigns. They're not Triple H. They're not Goldberg. They're not The Rock. They're not Austin. They're not Brock Lesnar. Titus O'Neal, I guarantee you, doesn't get half the money that Lesnar makes. Because then I wouldn't be making as much of a big deal about it. Just a little bit. But regardless, when we talk about the money, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? You have a family, especially for someone like Titus O'Neal who has a family. He doesn't get to see them all that much. He's on the road 300 days a year, and he only has 60 days to really go see them, unless he gets hurt. In this case, he's been suspended, so he's going to spend a lot of time with them. I don't know, man. The issue is, why even work there? Is it really worth it? As a wrestler, as an employee with the WWE, should I really go work there? Because it feels like they're more concerned about their PR and other avenues of making money than their wrestling product. And you know that's true. I don't know. It just feels like the WWE, despite some upcomings here and there, you know, I feel like the environment is a toxic environment. This is coming from someone who hasn't worked inside. Although that's kind of not true, because I have worked with WWE. And I feel like I've been fired unjustly. For a different reason. But, I haven't been the guy to wrestle. Or work with a talent. Or, go on the road with them. I haven't been that guy. So, I have a totally blind perspective from what could be other issues that could involve both of these guys saying what they said. But looking in from the outside, it doesn't look good. And I'm hoping someone in the business comes out and clears that up. I hope, what I'm seeing isn't as bad as I think it is. And hopefully things work out for Titus O'Neal. And maybe Road Dogg learns that what he said was stupid and he retracts it soon. Or at least comes out and explains what he was trying to say. But these issues are just symptoms of what the core problem is. That the WWE is a toxic environment. And if anybody wants to work there, I feel sorry for you. I hope things work out for you. I don't know, man. This is not good. Give me your thoughts about this, about what I said. Your viewpoints on Titus O'Neal and Road Dogg's statements. Wins and losses don't count. What the hell is wrong with you? Seriously. Even from a political standpoint, that makes no sense. But give me your thoughts about this, viewpoints. Have fun in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. This is your boy, the X Man, signing off. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Take it easy. Peace.